Here in studio with me, NBC business and data correspondent Brian Cheung and Ron Insana, CNBC senior analyst and commentator. So let me read to you something from the New York Times, Ron. Mr. Trump's efforts to use tariffs to intervene in a criminal trial in a foreign nation is an extraordinary example of how he views levies as a one-size-fits-all cudgel. What is the message in that to other countries, to even the U.S. about our trade policy?
Well, as far as we know, there's no statutory authority for the president to impose tariffs based on the politics going on in another nation. And there's no economic rationale for it either. He can't say there's an emergency with Brazil because we actually run a trade surplus, Chris, with Brazil of about $7 billion as of last year, maybe a little bit less this year. So it's very difficult to understand why he's doing it. And again, is part of the more kind of erratic and chaotic approach to tariffs that have been used so far in his effort either to correct trade imbalances, to raise money, or 3, level the playing field for certain industries in the United States. We don't know what the actual end game around tariffs actually is. This adds an entirely new wrinkle to how they're being used, and we've certainly not seen this before. Yeah,
I mean, economic power generally has been used to punish, for lack of a better word, other countries for things that they have done, offenses. But Brazil's president wrote this. He warned that what happens to Bolsonaro is, quote, the sole responsibility of the Brazilian judiciary. But talk about the real world impact here of a different level of uncertainty, because I think it is fair to say this flips the script once again on anything that foreign policy has been in this country.
Well, there could be a modest economic impact insofar as, like, today we're seeing coffee prices, for instance, go up because Brazil is a huge coffee exporter to the United States. Financial markets, though, broadly speaking, have really, and I've talked about this on MSNBC with Stephanie Ruhle and others, have not responded to the tariffs because it does appear that many professional investors are not taking the president at his word that ultimately that any of this stuff is going to go through or stick or be used in the way that the president has described.
He could change his mind at any moment.
That is the way the markets are playing it. You see the Dow is within striking distance of record levels. The S&P is up. NASDAQ's pulling back from hitting a new all-time high yesterday. So it's hard to glean any message from the financial markets with respect to this right now. But clearly from a broader global economic perspective, this is unsettling to a wide variety of people and those who are negotiating or trying to negotiate deals with the United States right now.
And to jump in on that quickly, UBS, one of these Wall Street banks, their language was, it seems a wasted effort, was the words that they used to try to analyze every single Trump Truth Social post, because at the end of the day, these Wall Street banks see that the president will just balk on it once we get closer to the deadline again and kick the can down the road further with another delay. So that's a big reason why we haven't seen the financial markets do anything crazy. But that is a bet in and of itself, Chris, because if the tariffs do come to pass on August 1st, let's say, maybe then markets fall again, maybe even to the degree and magnitude of what we saw in April, because they weren't pricing it in.
What's very strange is, I mean, the existing tariffs now on a blended basis that the United States is charging other countries are at roughly 16%, which is the highest tariff level we've seen since 1936. Hasn't passed through to consumer prices fully yet. It may in the future.
But it will.
It will.
But it will. And coffee prices, I can see people at home already sitting up straight who want to know how much their morning cup is going to be. But ultimately, for the average American, they're trying to make bets on this, right? I mean, when you look at the sales that are going on right now, I mentioned this yesterday, Walmart, Target, of course, Amazon. People are trying to scope out, how do I save money? A lot of people actually do have a budget in America, unlike Wall Street folks.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been doing some price tracking on the consumer team here at NBC News because we've been trying to figure out what is the impact of the tariffs. And we looked at, like, say, for example, a Keurig coffee machine, which we noticed went up by about $20 in the week leading up to this week. Now, was that because of the tariffs? We don't really know. Maybe it was just they were marking it back up so they could mark it down during the holiday. But during Prime Week, we saw the price go down by $40, $50. So if you're a consumer, you've been watching that price over the last few weeks. You're thinking, okay, well, if these tariffs are going to come to pass, even if they don't happen yet, if they come into effect in August and I try to buy that same Keurig 3 months after the fact, might I have to pay another $100? So the tariffs are very much weighing on people's minds. Yeah. And there's this distortion where people are having to read NBCnews.com to figure out what the headlines are on the tariff.
Or CNBC.com.
Or CNBC.com as well, trying to figure out, is now the best time for me to buy a Keurig coffee machine, which is really not a consumer dynamic we had seen prior to this administration.
Well, the car dealership that I'm dealing right now, I mentioned this the other night, is giving me a pre-tariff deal on a lease because they don't know in September what auto tariffs are going to be like. And so the 2025 models that are, let's say showroom models are being not discounted, but frozen in price. And so consumers will try to get a jump on the expected tariff increases that could be coming down the road, particularly August 1st, when those reciprocal tariffs that the president talked about might go into effect.
I have some personal things I want to talk to you two guys. Give me some insights,
We'll
Ron and Brian. Thank you so much.
Thanks.